All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's shir should be L'Zecher Nishmas Menachem ben Yisrael Yaakov and L'Refu Shalema Meshulam ben Sar Rachel, as well as the Refu Shalema Chama Rivka Bas Rachel. Yesterday, we finished off the fifth on page one. We're going to be on page 196 today. Yesterday, we finished off the fifth of the seven categories in regards to where we're supposed to lie at Shaar Habitachon. And yesterday, we finished off on how the fifth of the category, which Bitachon applies to fulfilling interpersonal mitzvahs. That's what we spoke about yesterday. Today, the sixth of the seven categories is Bitachon when it comes to reward for mitzvahs. And it's actually a much longer category because it goes into a whole bunch of different parts of it. And the first part of it is we're going to focus on really exploring how this works and what the Torah teaches us about it. And then we're going to go into the whole idea of how Bitachon for the reward for mitzvahs works. And so Rav Av today, he introduces this section by noting that the reward for mitzvahs may be granted on this world or on Olam Haba. We know this. We spoke about this a few times, that Hashem could repay us whether on Olam Hazeh, Olam Haba. He then discusses at length at why the Torah doesn't talk about Olam Haba when it comes to reward. He only clarifying the issues does he address that the question how Bitachon applies in regards to reward for mitzvahs, meaning he's going to explain in this section, in the sixth category, the Rav Av is going to explain where and how we get the reward, except there's no menu that says, and I say the word menu because you're going to see soon that we do have a menu somewhere in the Torah, but there's no menu that says if you give tzedakah, you're going to get this. If you give $100, you're going to get that. We heard talk about kefil. We talk about Hashem giving us back double. There's stuff like that are involved, but there's no clear-cut reward system that's written out in the Torah that explains how we get rewarded. And so we start off over here today. It says, Avo perish ha'chelik hashishi in the sixth of the categories. V'hu b'gmul ha'olam hazeh v'ha'olam haba. That is the category of reward for mitzvahs on this world and on the other world. So again, the reward system is not clear as to where we get repaid. Ashiyeh ha'adam ro'eloi b'maseh ha'toiv ba'olam, which a person becomes worthy by virtue of the good deeds that he performs in this world. Hu shahagmul shnei panim. The first point of the introduction here is that there's two kinds of rewards for mitzvahs. Gemol ba'olam hazeh b'vad, reward that is granted specifically on this world. Ugmul ba'olam haba b'vad, and reward that you only get in olam haba. V'yesh sheyeh ra'im shnei ma'aseh echad. Some mitzvahs you earn only one of these types of rewards, but there are instances where both of them are reward in this world and the other world. And that's through one mitzvah. There are some reward systems that reward us for both on Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba, and that's throughout the same exact mitzvah. So again, we have some mitzvahs that are going to give us reward over here on this world, some mitzvahs are going to give us only reward on Olam Haba, and some that we're going to see, there are instances where we're doing that mitzvah gives us schar on both worlds. Now, the Rav Av notes that while the Torah does reveal that we do get reward for mitzvahs, it does not describe the specific reward for each mitzvah. Like I said, there's no menu item list that tells us what the reward system is. Neither the world in this world nor in the world in the next world. So he begins by focusing on the rewards granted in this world. That's what we're going to start with. It's for many, it's the most exciting to talk about is the ones that we get on this world because it's here, it's in front of us. We're still human, right? And sometimes it's hard to say, hey, I only want it for Olam Haba, although that's the goal that we should have. So he starts off. He says, "V'loi perish lanu be'er zeh be'er heitif." The details of this matter, of the reward that we get for mitzvahs, has not been spelled out exactly for us. Ach arav habar la'amei gemul kolel al maseh kolel. Rather, Hashem in the Torah promised His people as a collective reward that we will get schar, that for the collective performance for mitzvahs. And we see this many times. We see a lot of times when something happens in Klal Yisrael. So big Rabbanim will say, the whole Klal Yisrael has to get together and we have to do mitzvahs, or we have to do, like, say, tehillim together. Why? Because it comes from here. It comes from where Hashem, the only thing Hashem actually told us is that if the entire Klal Yisrael as a whole would do mitzvahs and do good, then the entire Klal Yisrael as a whole will get a reward. And he's going to show you in a minute where we actually see that on this world, where we see that how it plays out. He says, for example, at the beginning of Parshas Bechikoisai, the Torah says that the Yidden as a whole should observe the Torah commandments. Should observe the Torah. Hashem will then bring rain in the proper time to the earth, and it's beautiful, and you'll have a better crop. So you see over there where the Torah says, with the entire Yiddish nation, the entire Klal Yisrael as a whole, should do good, should do mitzvahs, and stay away from Averis, and then Hashem will reward the entire Klal Yisrael, and He'll provide rain, and we'll have good crops, we'll have food. But he did not specify what reward he grants in this world for every individual's performance, just like we said just now. Meaning, Hashem doesn't give you a menu. It says, if you do this, and you get that. The flip side to that is when it comes to Averis, Hashem very, very, very in detail in the Torah spells out exactly what the punishments are. So we see, when it comes to mitzvahs, God does not provide a menu item and says, this is the reward you're going to get. But we're going to see here now that when it comes to Averos, He does. He spells out exactly what your punishment will be. He says, as we see, when someone gets, he incurs in a skila, sreifa, her, chenek, or malkus abarm, or misa v'karis, for someone who has to pay back. It talks about over there when you talk about property damage, right? So if somebody's has to pay back the value of the stolen item, does it pay back double? Does it pay back 5 times the amount? V'nezek shar bar v'shein v'eish. Also over there it talks about physical damage. When someone's animal hurts another person or hurts another one's property, or if you dig a hole in your own backyard and people could walk in, fall into there and hurt themselves, break a bone. V'noisein mum ba'adam, for injuring another person, v'shalachas yad b'mvoshav, or for embarrassing another person as well. So we see over here that Hashem spells out very, very, very clearly in these places that you are going to get certain punishments for these things. And it spells out clearly what those punishments are. It says, and he goes a little further on the next page on 198, he says, V'amoitzi shema, someone slanders, right? V'hadoim lezayin, all these similar sins, that these kind of things, that these averas that come to mind. So you see over here that the Torah specifies exactly what your punishment will be when you do averas, but the Torah does not spell out exactly or even at all what your reward will be for doing mitzvahs. So, the Chovos HaLevavos, now that we understand that the Torah is not going to spell it out for us, so he's not going to say if you do this, you get that, but the Torah does spell out for us the other stuff. Before we get into that, why does the Torah not specify the reward for mitzvahs? What's the reason? Why does he only go for the averos? So the Chovos HaLevavos notes that the Torah does not spell out specific reward for an individual mitzvah, but he does not. But the Chovos HaLevavos doesn't either go into explaining why this is so. So the issue is addressed in Avos. He says over there in the Mishnah. He says, "Be as careful when performing a minor mitzvah as with performing a major mitzvah." He brings an example over here. Why does Hashem not give us a menu for reward system? And he explains it with this example. He says there was once a king who had a beautiful farm full of exotic trees mixed with regular trees. And so the king gave a reward for every single person who came in and fixed all the trees and pruned them properly and made them look pretty. And he told everybody, you will get a reward for doing a certain, for pruning the trees. However, the king, in his mind, decided that when anybody would prune the trees of these exotic trees, he would give them more money than what he would give them for pruning a regular tree. But he didn't tell them that. Why? Because he knew that if he would tell everybody, he would tell the workers, he would tell these guys, that, hey guys, you're going to get double the amount for pruning the exotic trees. What's going to happen? They're only going to prune the exotic trees. What's going to happen to the regular ones? They're not going to get pruned. Hashem doesn't spell out to us the reward for our mitzvahs. Very simple. Because if Hashem showed us that, for instance, giving tzedakah carries a much bigger reward than, let's say, putting on tzitzis, or maybe that's a personal mitzvah, but for doing a different mitzvah, maybe, I don't know, feeding somebody, or, achrasas archem, then everybody's just going to focus on the bigger prizes. And what's going to happen in the end? Everyone's going to forget about the small ones. But we know that in order to be whole as a nation, as a person, there are 613 mitzvahs. And what's going to happen is it's going to narrow down, and there's only going to be 20, right? Because why? Because everyone's going to focus every single day on the ones with the biggest schar. And Hashem didn't want that. And this is the reason that Rav Av says over here why, well, it says over in the cliff notes, why conceptually Hashem did not spell out for us the reward system as to why he wants to give it to us. Because then we're going to stray. We're not going to stray, but we're just not going to focus. And they're going to be mitzvahs that are going to be totally forgotten over time. Tonight is the second night of Hanukkah, guys. The second night of Hanukkah. And I hope that you guys take this time of gift giving, and you give your gifts to people. We know that gift of life is the biggest gift that we can get from Hashem. But the gift that we can give to others is our time, our love, our appreciation, our understanding, and our listening ear. And so this Hanukkah, there are people out there, everyone knows that there are people out there that need emotional support. They need someone to listen to them, someone to maybe just give them a hug. Be that person this Hanukkah. Give the people that you know that need it, give them that love, give them that attention in this time of Hanukkah, of gift giving. Thank you everybody for joining us today. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Hanukkah, and I love you all.